Hey, this is David Hayter. You may know me as the screenwriter of films like X-Men, X-Men 2, and Watchmen, but you probably know me best as the voice of Solid Snake from Metal Gear Solid. And you're listening to Hawaii's #1 podcast, the Kasanova podcast. Kept you waiting, huh?
This wasn't written with your comfort in mind.
Nah.
Made my decision, wasn't tough to decide. Nah, me and my boys, we get it done every time. Gotta earn it, you can't just jump in the line. You'll get rushed to the side. I top my division, I've been building since I started. In the parking lot, I parked it. I came in while picking targets. My career cannot be tarnished. I'm a champion regardless. Celebrate, but this a different kind of lucha party. We are not alike. I don't want your advice, I don't want your opinions. It's not gonna be different from the ones I told to listen. I've been working on a bigger picture and y'all ain't impressing me. Hey, como se dice, shut your mouth, respect the legacy. Ain't no comparisons, y'all just embarrassments. All of my confidence is rooted in my heritage. Yo, and with Mendoza and Mr. Wow, we showing what this about. Phantom driving, your career is disavowed. What's happening, y'all?
All right, and hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Hawaii's #1 podcast, the Kasanova podcast, as well as this being in collaboration with my other show, Decked Up, a gaming and tech podcast. I'm your host, Mekel Kasanova, and I'm joined by my brother, the one and only, the original geek, my favorite Kiwi, the one and only Phid McAwesome. Phid, how you doing, man?
Not too bad, bro. Just part 3, bro. Part 3.
I know, right? Man, we've been putting out so many just gems on these podcasts we've done together, man. People need to be paying attention. Like, it's the third
100%.
time. It's the third
I mean, but
struggle
in saying
here.
that, I think this is the first one since the pandemic.
True.
All of our lives have changed a lot in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
and saying that, just to fill the people in, was it we met each other online probably 5 years ago?
Has it been that long?
It would be about that long, dude.
Oh my god, it doesn't feel like it.
In the last year, we've actually met each other in person.
That's true. And you're
Yeah.
tall as hell too.
Did you not realize how tall I was?
No, I had no clue. I'm like I saw you standing when I picked you up from the airport. I was like, holy shit, he's tall.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was over in the States for work, and it was actually funny. It was my wife who talked me into doing the stopover in Hawaii, because I was looking at the full straight through flights, and I was looking, oh look, it's actually cheaper if I fly via Hawaii Airlines, and or Hawaiian, and it gave me a stopover. Like on the way there, I think the stopover was like a 1 hour stopover, but on the way back, I could do like a 24-hour stopover, and I was like, I've never been there. Like, why don't I have a rest after a long week of work in the States? And the company's paying for it.
Might as well take advantage of that. Yep.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. So it was really cool. It was awesome catching up with you and having a chat in person and finally breaking bread together. It was cool.
It was. But I'm still mad, man. I'm 6'2", and you make me look short.
Well, I'm only 6'3", so I'm not that much taller than you, bro.
You look like you were so much taller than me. Well, you're also super skinny too. So I'm like, man,
bro, I'm not super skinny anymore. Like
yes,
I am slim. I am a slim dude. But compared to pre-pandemic, if you go and get a video of one of our interviews from pre-pandemic and put me side by side, you see my face is filled out, the belly's filled out, the arms are filled out. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Like, I needed to put that weight on, but it's actually, I've been saying this quite a bit. Like, I'm one of the few people that during the lockdowns and the pandemic and stuff like that, it was the hard reset I needed in my life. Like, I started eating better. I started looking after myself. I started exercising because I had so much spare time, right?
Yeah.
And before the pandemic, I was one of these people that just worked, came home, slept, woke up, worked, right? And my priorities are completely shifted now. Like, I'm making sure that I've got time to chill with the wife, time to chill and spend time with the kids, time to work out, time to eat well, all that sort of thing. It's a hard reset I needed, bro.
it's so important, and it's like, because I'm going through that within this year, like I really had to like slow down because I was getting so obsessed with like, okay, I gotta cover this, I gotta cover that, I gotta do this, and I was like running myself into the ground. I had like a health
Mm.
scare beginning of the year. My doctor's like, hey, you need to start losing weight. You need to lose at least 30 to 40 pounds.
And that's not
You
the
need
first
to.
health scare you've had in the last couple of years either, right?
No, it's not. That's I had two this year. I had one the year prior, and then
Mm.
I had that whole bout with cancer. And I'm like, man, I can't be fucking around with my health anymore. I'm
Yeah.
like, especially as we get older, like we're not bulletproof like we
No,
used to think.
bro. I was I was watching, like, I know you're a wrestling fan as well. I was
Hmm.
watching Cody Rhodes after he had his whole thing with the torn pec.
Peck, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, bro, I had a very similar injury a year earlier. Definitely not to that degree, right? I didn't have
That
the big
shit hurts
I
too.
didn't have the big purple titty, but I was working out and I tore something up in my shoulder, and
Mhm,
basically mine was just like minor little tear, which take a couple of weeks off, it's going to be fine,
mhm,
just let it heal. But that hurt enough, right? I
mhm.
was watching like Cody, and I was just like, damn, like you went into a match. But it's our age, bro. Like we're just not built the way we were. But
No,
it's funny
no,
because also at this age is when we start going, shit, I've beaten my body up for the last 30 years. I need to start doing something. And this is where we decide, like, when our bodies are breaking down, that we're going to get fit.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's crazy, man. Like I this year alone, like I completely cleaned up my diet. Like I really don't eat fast food. I think today we had pizza and that was on a whim, but like like eating spinach and kale and fruits,
Mm.
vegetables, all that. Just meat and veggies. Like,
Yep.
and it's just crazy because a lot of people are like, "Oh, what's your workout regimen?" And I'm like, for the first, I want to say 6 months of the year, I was just cleaning up my diet. I'm like, once I started doing that, and I started doing, workouts at home, got my total
Mm.
gym out, dusted it off, started using that, hitting the gym, going for walks and running. I'm
Mm.
like, I've cut, like, I'm at 212 right now.
Mm.
The beginning of the year, I was at 280. When you
What's that?
met me, bro,
I need
I was
to do calculations from American into non-American. What's that? Pounds into kgs, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
220.
yeah, so I
Oh
was
shit!
like,
Yeah, okay.
I was heavy. When you met me, I was like at 250, and I'm like, now I'm none of my clothes. I told my wife, I'm like, I need to go buy new clothes because like nothing fits anymore.
Which is
But
a
it's
good thing, right?
it is. It really is. I'm like, yeah, I can just get rid of that. Now
And see,
I'm in such.
I felt the same way about my clothes, but going in the opposite direction. Like I was so skinny. I bought a brand new suit for going to events and stuff
Mhm,
just before, like I'm talking 4 months before lockdown. I had an
mhm.
event to go to. I bought myself this brand new suit, and it fits so snug, so perfect. It was like perfectly tailored to my body, and I looked good in it.
Mhm.
After the pandemic, I was like, I had an event to go to, and I was like, sweet, look at that suit. I've worn it once. Nope, did not fit at all. But also, I'm looking at these
Wow.
pants, and I'm going, bro, how did I ever fit these? Like, I was so unhealthy, but in the opposite direction, right?
Wow.
And saying
Yeah,
that,
man.
I also back then was smoking like a pack and a half to 2 packets of cigarettes a day.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
Holy shit.
which is all of that stops you from eating and all that sort of thing. So I just wasn't a healthy person at all. Like no, I still vape, but all these people out here saying that vaping's unhealthy, bro, it's a lot like, I'm not going to say that it's healthy,
Mhm.
but it's a lot healthier than what I was doing to myself beforehand, bro.
Yeah, like that's and it's like I know like there's so many places that are trying to like ban vaping because they're like, oh, it's just as bad as cigarettes. I'm like, which would you rather someone do?
Oh, dude, I say the same thing. Like, if you walk past me in the street, right? Do you want me to smell like dirty ass cigarettes, or do you want
Mhm.
me to smell like, what am I at the moment? Strawberry and watermelon.
Strawberry and watermelon, without a
100%.
doubt.
That's not offensive at all.
So yeah, it's that's crazy. It's just crazy how like people it's always something, man. And it's especially like being on social media, like there's always like folks that are like trying to complain about something and like I'm getting to like I already know like you and I are probably tired of Twitter at this point, but like
Yeah.
it's I don't know, man. I'm so tired of
Twitter, it's funny. I've got this weird relationship with Twitter. I built my entire career on Twitter, right?
Mhm,
So the early stages of my career, I made all my connections on Twitter. I met amazing people on Twitter.
mhm,
I've collated like a really good group of people that I follow on Twitter and all that sort of thing.
mhm.
And watching the downfall of Twitter in the last literally 12 months to the day today,
Spiraling, bro.
since Elon walked in, like we're on the 1 year anniversary today. Um, and watching him speed run the death of a social media platform, it's been tragic for me. And it's just gotten worse and worse over the last year. Like it's become 50% good people just trying to use the platform to the other
Mhm.
50% just being Elon, fanboys and NFC fucking people trying to sell con jobs.
Didn't that like okay, so didn't the NFT thing die off? Like didn't that get exposed or something? Or are companies still
Uh,
pushing that bullshit?
there are still companies out there trying to get people to buy NFTs, but it's shocking. Funny thing is, I'm not anti-crypto,
Yeah.
not
I'm
anti-crypto
not
at all.
either. Yeah.
But NFTs, absolutely, it's a con.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of people they're like, oh, crypto is bad. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with decentralized money. Like
Hmm.
we need to because like you look
Blockchain
at
is great technology for tracking as well. Like the blockchain is
exactly.
an amazing piece of technology.
Exactly. Like you look at like money, like I tell people all the time, I'm like, you think the US dollar is worth a lot? It's really not.
Money's only worth what we decide it's worth.
Exactly.
Like we
Exactly.
invented money. Like humans invented this.
Yeah.
And the fact that like people say with crypto, yeah, but it's a made up currency. All currency's made up.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Crazy, man. Crazy. But I know we could go down that rabbit hole and that'd be like a 2-hour podcast talking about that.
Yeah, look, if you've listened to any podcast with me and Mekel talking, we're going to go off on so many different tangents. We're not going to stay on track.
Never. We never do. But bro, so let's talk about Original Geek. Let's get the scoop on that.
Okay, so Original Geek. So we started Original Geek 3 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's myself, my wife, and a friend of ours. Um, it is essentially what I'm good at doing, and I have been doing for a long time, which is video game and pop culture marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Providing those services not just to video games and pop culture companies, but um, companies wanting to take advantage of working with the market of people that love pop culture and gaming, because gaming is now, or has been for a long time, but it's the biggest, most viewed form of entertainment in the world. It's bigger than Hollywood. It's bigger than music. It's bigger than Netflix. More people are in the video game space than any other medium in the world.
But boomers don't want to hear that.
Boomers do not want to hear that.
No.
It's bigger than TV, right? TV's dead.
It is completely.
So all of these brands are wanting to take advantage of being there, and so essentially what we do is help consult and build campaigns and manage them from end to end, getting whether it be helping them with their strategy and what they're doing, right through to partnering them with amazing content creators around the world and getting content creators to talk about their product or create original content and all that sort of thing. We've decided to do things with a few caveats and rules in place, though. So before I get to that, so having my wife involved is a big deal because her background is actually digital strategy. She's done digital strategy for the likes of Microsoft, the New Zealand government, who else has she done? Google, Huawei, like all these massive companies she's done digital strategy for. So bringing in her strategic and analytical background with marketing and my experience with doing gaming events, influencer marketing, campaign management, all that sort of thing, bringing both those powers together, it's making us a lot more strategic with what we're doing. And getting to the point I was getting to before is we've got a lot of rules in place for us as a company, how we operate. So what we want to do is not build campaigns, which is, hey, Mekel, here's a awesome controller. Can you just take some photos of it and put it on your Instagram? We don't want to do that.
So many
Right.
companies do that too.
But so many companies do that. But the thing is, the industry is becoming blind to that. So if all you're doing is putting up a beautiful photo of yourself and the product, all the comments are going to be trolls, bots, and that's about it. You might get a few likes from a few of your followers, but that content's not interesting anymore. It used to be interesting. It's not interesting anymore. So what we're wanting to do is make sure we build out super interesting, relatable, engaging content. So when we're working with a content creator, what we're saying is, hey, we've got this concept that we want you to work with, still do it in your own style and all that sort of thing, but we want to make it a bit more interesting and fun. What do you think of this? And we'll work with the content creator to make it what they put out more interesting and engaging. And that's all backed by our own research that we put in before we even talk to the company. So a company will come to us and say, hey, can we build a campaign? We'll do a week's worth of in-depth research into that company, the product that they're selling, what the audience is wanting, what the market is like at the moment, see if we can find differentiating factors between their product and what the market wants, all that sort of thing. So we're putting in solid research beforehand, and what we come up with at the end is proven content that is going to work. Yeah. And like I said, we only started 3 months ago, and in the last 3 months we've picked up some big clients, dude. Like we're working with HelloFresh in the UK, we're working with Babbel in Europe and Germany. In Australia, we just ran the influencer marketing campaign for South by Southwest Sydney, which was huge, right? They came to us, and we're a new company, but it's off the back of our own reputations that we had beforehand. And then we've got Warner Music, who are doing monthly projects with Warner Music, promoting. Am I still here? Am I back?
Oh, you.
There we go. I'm back.
There we go.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. We got it. Keep going.
Yeah. So working with Warner Music at the moment, putting up monthly campaigns for them to promote their hip hop artists. So we're doing a campaign at the moment with Cardi B. Which is super fun because we're also getting to do things a wee bit interesting there. We're like, okay, we want to work with content creators in the gaming space and all that sort of thing. But Cardi B, there's a bit of a crossover content-wise there with OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Why don't we work with some content creators that are also OnlyFans creators as well as gamers? Yeah, and a lot of people would be too scared to do that.
I was going to ask you about that because there's such this taboo about OnlyFans, and a lot of folks are like, oh, it's going to stick with you for the rest of your life. Like you're never going to outlive it. I'm like, we're in a day and age now where these jobs, 9-to-5s, they're not reliable. They don't take care of employees. No. So if you can get your money, get your fucking money.
Exactly. And take advantage of the fact that you've got the body and all that sort of thing that you've got at the moment, right?
Hey,
I know an Australian girl who I've known her for about 5 years, and in that time she has bought 2 Lamborghinis.
Bruh.
Right?
I'm gonna start OnlyFans. I'm gonna sell some feet pics.
Right. But that's the thing, right? And she owns it. She's just like, yeah, dude, I've got this body. People want to see it. People pay her really good money to do it.
As well.
I genuinely think most of the people hating on OnlyFans are people that don't have the body to do it, don't have the balls to do it, to be honest. Like people that are too embarrassed to do that sort of thing. They've preconceived notions of what they think is right and wrong, and they're just jealous. I genuinely think that, and this is me as a 40-something-year-old dude who is also jealous.
Bro, wait. I thought you were the same age as me. You're 40.
I'm 42, bro. I turned 42 on Monday. Monday just gone.
Fuck out of here. I had no idea. I thought we were the same age. I just made.
How old
I'm
are you?
35. I'm 35.
Yeah, roughly same age. Like we're in that same bracket, bro.
Yeah, true.
we're at the age where when we're signing up for things, we've got to scroll the wheel. We've got to scroll that year wheel, bro.
Yo, not only that, man, we're getting to the point where it's like people like, how old are you now? And they're like, wait. I think I'm this age now.
100%, dude. The amount of times this year, like before I turned 42, where people would go, "How old are you?" "Oh, I'm 42." And my wife would be like, "No, you're not. You're not 42 till October."
No, this is just how it is, though. But yeah, man, you're completely right. Like the whole like people just being jealous of OnlyFans. Like I'm like, man, get your money. That's not, dude. So okay, so real talk. There are girls I know here in Hawaii that be posting some of the most burlesque or sexy type of pictures on Facebook and Instagram. I'm like, go start an OnlyFans. Start giving that shit away for free.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. 100%. A girl that my wife and I know, she was staying with us for a while, and she already had dudes who were sending her money just basically to talk to them. And I was like, girl, why do you not have an OnlyFans? Like, if you've already got dudes who are basically paying for stuff for you, like, open that up, crowdsource that shit.
And the biggest thing is people doing this, like, for anyone, people doing stuff on OnlyFans or whatever these different platforms, start stacking your money and invest it back into yourself somehow.
Oh, 100%, dude. And it's the same with OnlyFans, like OnlyFans and Fansly and all that sort of thing, right? Your body definitely does have a amount of time that you're going to be able to do this. But in saying that, it's not just for people like that. It's also for these gamers and all that sort of thing. Like, eventually, if you're relying on being a good gamer as your content, like the likes of Ninja, right? He built his career of being good at gaming. Like, he's not an entertaining person by any means, in my opinion. I don't think he's someone he's not someone you watch because he's funny and entertaining. He's someone you watch because he's good at what he does. But as you get older, bro, those reaction times get slower.
Yep.
Right. So you need to be banking that money.
Yeah, you definitely do.
Yeah. And if anyone's in the game of content creation with anything else, whether it be informative or entertaining side of it, start branching out as well. Like, look at other options, keep making sure that you're keeping up with what the trends are on platforms and all that sort of thing, and keep banking that money, bro.
Yep. So you're saying, like, you guys are, even working with the people who do OnlyFans and whatnot. So I know I interrupted you, but
yeah. So there's some of the campaigns that we're doing, like with Warner Music and stuff like that, and then coming off the back of South by Southwest, which was our first big event that we've worked, which was 2 weeks ago. No, 1 week ago. Finished last Sunday. We walked out of that event with 16 companies wanting to work with us.
Shit.
And one of them being a city in a different country that want to do tourism advertising. We've got another record label wanting to work with us, sports retailer wanting to work with us, all that sort of thing. So, and I think us sort of focusing on still being focused on pop culture and gaming, but not focusing on trying to get your big gaming brands and stuff like that on board. Like, we will absolutely work with those guys as well. And we've got a couple of companies we're talking to at the moment about potentially doing some work with them. That's not going to be our main focus, because I think, moving forward, it's going to be the big the big money is going to be coming from outside of gaming and pop culture. It's going to be your food brands, your lifestyle brands, entertainment brands outside. So like your movie companies and music companies and your Netflixes and all those sort of things. You know, they're going to want to be advertising their TV shows via our medium.
Yeah.
So we're inviting them into what we do as gamers and pop culture nerds.
That's fucking awesome, bro. Yeah, you gotta be super like I know like you're chill right now, but like that's gotta be super fucking hype every time you look at like the stuff you've accomplished.
Every time we pull in a big brand, like one that we didn't think would be interested or wouldn't think that they're ready to sort of thing, we get hyped about that. I get more excited working with these non-gaming companies than I do with the gaming companies. And it's because, look, I've worked with almost every big gaming brand that you can think of. And over the last 10 years, they've gone from being the fun and exciting companies that wanted to do edgy, groundbreaking stuff to being, now that they are the biggest medium in the world, they're multi-billion-dollar companies, they're not taking the risks that they used to take.
Yeah, they're not.
So a lot of the campaigns they want to do are boring. Like, to be honest, like, and look, if they knock on my door tomorrow and say, hey, can we work with 21 content creators on this game? Absolutely, I'm going to take that phone call. But I'm probably not going to have as much fun as having Warner Music come to me and say, hey, we've got a Cardi B song. It's a bit edgy. What can we do? And that's where I go, this is fun. This is exciting. I get to do something a bit edgy. And like I said, working with the OnlyFans guys is super fun. I'll tell you what. I'll let this one slip. One of our secrets at the moment is we are in discussions at the moment with a global sex toy company about wanting to market to gamers. And that's interesting to me because it's marketing to a huge, highly engaged audience about a product that we also have to still fit in terms of service on platforms, right? So how do we talk about these things while staying inside of terms of service? That's a challenge. That challenge is awesome. Like, I don't think you need to be obscene and overtly sexual to talk about sex toys.
No, you don't have to.
But it's going to be a fun campaign. And so that sort of thing excites me. But at the same time, the pressure of having a company that is only 3 months old is quite scary as well, right? Leading into the Christmas period where it's hard to pull in consistent campaigns over that Christmas period through to about February. So, you know, we're going to have to be banking our money, making sure that we're tying ourselves over, all that sort of thing. It's a pressure I haven't felt before because I have founded companies before, but I've founded companies with the backing of a bigger company. So, Go to Game, the first company that I was with when we met, co-founded that company with the CEO of a bigger company. So we had the backing of that company for a period of for the entire time, and shit hit the fan, and we didn't have business coming in. We were still getting a paycheck, right? We were safe. Last company I worked for, well, actually not the last one, the previous one to that, you know, that one there sort of had really well invested and things like that. So, you know, always had a paycheck coming through. Didn't have to worry about that. But when you're doing it on your own, it's only 3 of us running this company. We're bringing in people to help us out with campaigns and stuff like that. But at the core of it, it's just the 3 of us. And, you know, it's scary having that pressure of having to make sure that we're all got our rent paid. Yeah. All got our mortgages paid. All got the power bill being paid, you know, all that sort of thing. So that responsibility I find scary and intimidating. But in saying that, that's what drives you to make sure that you've got the work coming in, right?
Yeah. It definitely pushes you, like, when you're working completely on your own, and it's like your success and failure is literally in your hands. That is the most, like you said, it is the most terrifying, is the most nerve-wracking thing, but it's also one of the most exhilarating, freeing, and fun thing out there. Like, bro, fuck working for other people.
Oh, dude, I'm at that point, and I'll tell you a story, which is sort of what sort of got me to this point. Was I had already sort of gotten sick of working for other people and working for bigger companies. But as you know, start of this year, I started working for a big company in the gaming development space. It's a company that's based in Japan as well as America, huge multinational company. And I thought this was going to be me for the next few years. Genuinely. I was earning more money than I'd ever earned in my entire life. We were doing really good work. I was making partnerships with some big companies and all this sort of thing. It was super fun. But out of nowhere, I got that phone call one morning, got the message, hey, can you jump on a Zoom call? And it's going to be this is from my manager and HR. And the moment I saw the HR were on the call, I was like, oh, this isn't good.
Yeah.
And sure enough, what had happened was in the downturn of the gaming climate over the last few months, everyone's seen all the layoffs happen. Basically, around about that same time, all of those big companies stopped hiring third-party developers to help them make games as well. And the company I worked for, that's exactly the business they were in. They were the company that did voiceovers and was it voiceovers, development, co-dev, art direction and art development and all that sort of thing for some of these biggest gaming companies in the world. A lot of the work globally was starting to dry up a bit, like they were getting less money in through the door. So they had to make the same decision as a lot of these big AAA developers and say, hey, money's starting to dry up or starting to get tight. We need to cut heads. And basically they cut all the locations that were one-man bands, so I looked after all of Australia and New Zealand on my own. And that morning I was told, you don't have a job anymore. Luckily, because I was employed under Australian law, they had to pay me out for the next 3 months as well as my superannuation and pay me
Oh, you're fine, bro. Don't even worry about it.
and then they had to pay me out the money that they owed me for chargebacks and my expenses and all that sort of thing. And there's enough money there for me to take a month off and then set this company up. So essentially, I set the company up off the back of being made redundant.
Yeah.
So, but it was being released at the drop of a hat was the thing where I was just like, man, I hate being at the mercy of another company's financial situation.
And what? So I haven't had the opportunity. Well, I probably have, but I haven't had the opportunity or the time to really ask any of my industry friends, like, what is going on? Like, why is like today I got a DM from one of my friends, David Bruno. Like he's taken care of me for years. I worked with him on many projects. And he's like, bro, hey, can you help me like amplify, his tweet about my LinkedIn? Because I literally just got let go from the company I was with. He's like, I was not expecting it. I'm like, what?
I was talking to a friend of mine last night over in the UK who he was working for Sega. And he was in charge of a global marketing for Sega. And he had the same thing happen to him around about the same time that I got let go.
What's happening?
So this is my take on it, is the financial collapse of Silicon Valley Bank last year had a massive impact on the gaming industry. Essentially, there were billions of dollars lost in the collapse of that bank, and a lot of the games companies had their money wrapped up in investments in that situation. That's where a lot of money was lost. But at the same time, a lot of these companies are owned by shareholders, right? They're publicly listed companies, and they've got to keep their shares up at a rate where their shareholders are getting dividends and payouts, and it's looking good, and they're not going to sell up their shares so they don't end up like was it GameStop? So they have to make business decisions based on that. I think it sucks, but it also makes sense at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's shit that that's the situation this industry is in at the moment, that companies like Activision that made billions of dollars in the last 12 months also decided that they can't afford to keep heads at studios. And Activision's about to make literally the most money they've ever made, or at least the shareholders are.
Yep, they are with this merger, and it's just, bro, it's fucking ridiculous. It's like, can we like cut some of the fat at the top, or some of you.
Activision could have sacked Bobby Kotick a year or 2 years ago, and it would have been fine. Nobody would have been angry either. In fact, the industry would have been happy.
I just like, just seeing that, because like I've been wondering, like, should I like switch over from content creating and just start working in the games industry? And I just start seeing stuff like that, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that now.
Right, it's scary. It's a scary industry to be in. I know people that have worked for some of the big AAA companies that now are working for independent, smaller companies. They're not earning as much money as they were, but they feel like they're financially more stable because they're friends with the CEO. Something's going bad with the company, they're getting told what's going on. And they're a lot happier working at the companies they're working at. So the culture is better at these smaller companies as well. And look, some of these independent game developers are making some of the best games in the business at the moment.
They really are. They're putting AAA companies to shame.
Absolutely, they are. I mean, and look, some of them are being hired by the AAA companies to make them games now. Look at Blooper, who Blooper.
It's a Blooper team, yeah, because they're doing the Silent Hill 2 remake.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, so they were making amazing independent horror games, and Konami said, "Hey, we've got this dead franchise. Come revive it for us."
Which I have to ask you, because you're a fellow Silent Hill fan. Have you, right? Because you got the mark. You got the mark right there. Would you say? Because I see this a lot with the Silent Hill community, and I get it. I understand a lot of people still hate Konami, but the fact that they're even bringing back franchises that have been dead for like a decade or more, you gotta give them some credit. Like, all the people are like, "Oh, the new Silent Hill 2 remake is going to be shit. All these Silent Hill projects are going to be shit." Like, they're not out yet. Would you rather the series stay dead?
Oh, dude, look, Silent Hill 2, I'm super excited for. Have you gone back and played the original Silent Hill 2?
Yeah, I'm playing Enhanced Edition on my Ally.
Oh, so if you go back and play it on PlayStation or whatever, like not the Enhanced Edition, the original one, it doesn't play as well as you think it does, right?
No, it don't. No.
Right? And so I am excited for it. I was the same with Resident Evil. Like, I think the Resident Evil remakes are dope. I know that they've tweaked some of them, and they're not exactly original, but they're cool games. They're still just as, if not more, fun than they used to be. And I'm super excited for the Silent Hill games. The one that I'm super curious about, though, is the mobile story game that's coming out later this month.
Yeah, Ascension, right? That's
Ascension. Yeah. I don't get it, and that makes me even more curious about it, right? I'm just stoked to be getting Silent Hill material, to be honest. I think the new one that's coming out that's based in Japan, I think it's going to be a completely new twist on the game altogether. How do you make a Silent Hill game that's not in America, not based in America? Like, what's the story there?
Yeah.
Like, tell me, I want to know. So they've already got my money.
Yeah. And then what they showed, like what Konami showed with like the Metal Gear Solid, was it Delta? The 3 remake? Looks great in Unreal Engine 5. Like, I'm just like every time I hear the statement like, "Oh, they don't make games anymore. They just do pachinkos." I'm like, Konami has been making games for years. You just haven't been paying attention to it. Like they had to
Well,
get
look, I think as a company they did move a lot of their focus to pachinko,
yeah,
but
they did.
they were also going to have to move the focus away from pachinko as well because
Hmm.
Japan's cracking down on pachinko.
Yeah. Yep.
So that market is drying up. It's actually interesting. I saw some really interesting data at the company I was working for at the start of the year, which basically was showing pachinko sales. And because the company that I worked for used to do quality assurance for pachinko, for the software inside of pachinko machines, and they were saying like 10 years ago it was a huge part of their market, and now it's not even like 1% of their market because it's just constantly going down and down and down and down. Like young people aren't playing it like the older generation did.
Yeah.
So Konami would have been looking at the data going, yeah, no, we need to get back into video games. That's growing. Pachinko's dying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not 2012 anymore.
What's something covered in dust on the shelf that we can dust off and sell again?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, they're killing it with Castlevania. People are saying like they don't think they're gonna make a new Castlevania game. I'm like, they are. They more than likely are. Why? And like, what do you like? Every time we get these collections, that's always leading to something else. It's to gauge whether or not people would buy something
100%. And see, I think Konami with Silent Hill was a good example of that. Was over the last few years we started to see like Silent Hill themes for what
was it? Dead by Daylight.
Dead by Daylight
Yeah.
had it, and I think even Fall Guys had a
Yeah. They did.
had a
Yeah.
Silent Hill skin, and all those sort of things. So when you start seeing that they're testing the market with, let's see if there's still interest in this franchise. We'll throw some money at something small and see how people react to it and all that.
Mhm.
And I think the Silent Hill community has been starving for so long.
Yeah.
And we're about to eat.
Oh yeah, about to eat real good.
Yeah.
Do you think the prices on the PS2 games and the original game are going to dive? Like since it's the remake is coming out? Because I know I lucked out when I bought mines back in the day, and I looked at the prices recently. I'm like, it is ridiculous trying to get a copy of Silent Hill 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Yeah.
Actually, no, all of the PS2 ones are insanely expensive.
Yeah, I think the only ones you can get for a reasonable price now are like the 360 ones. 'cause
Yeah.
they're arguably the worst ones.
Yeah.
Like Shattered Dreams and all those sort of things. You can pick them up for relatively cheap. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Historically, a re-release doesn't really affect the price of an original game. If anything, sometimes the original game will go up in price.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never seen games drop in value because of remakes come out.
True. That's true.
This is speaking as a collector. Like I've got Silent Hill games in boxes over there that, from every single generation that have come out. So, yeah. It's funny though when we talk about video game prices because I see people complaining about video game prices now. And it always makes me laugh because, going back, I'm an old man. Back in the day in Australia and New Zealand, for games like Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter, we were paying $180 for a copy of that in the 90s. Brand new. Right? $180.
There was no regulation back then. There was no set standard price.
And it's like, that was $180 in 90s money. Like, if you do the calculation, I think I did a calculation recently. I think it worked out to be close to $300 per game if we were paying that now. If anybody tried selling a game for $300 now and it wasn't a special edition, you're going to get blasted. Like, you get blasted for selling games for close to $100 now. Yeah. That's me being a man sitting on my lawn. You kids don't know what you're complaining about.
No, it's really like, and especially with social media, you start seeing it more and more, like the lack of perspective the younger generation has Like they just really, and I'm not trying to shit on the younger generation. Like I understand
no.
you guys, like you guys have your own thing that you're dealing with as well. But like for a lot of us,
I will argue that the younger generation, in a lot of ways, have got their shit together better than we ever did.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Like just way more access to information, less bullshit, easier to get connected to people. Whereas
Yeah.
like it's
the other big one, socially, these kids are way more ahead than we ever were.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
the fact that these kids will call out racism and sexism and
like that.
transphobia and homophobia, and they call that shit out straight away.
Yeah,
But when we were young, dude, if one of our friends was said something that was a bit, you ignored that shit because that was what we did.
yeah, yeah. And it's really disappointing to see like a lot of people from my generation not being able to realize how much better in a lot of aspects it is now compared to back then. Like we as a global society, we are way more informed now than ever. I think back to times in like the early 2000s, the 90s. I mean, hell, we can even go back to the 80s, and it's like shit, we really like you look at some of the stuff, like look at marketing back then, look at the movies, look at TV shows, and
look at PlayStation's marketing. Like you just have to do a Google search of like problematic PlayStation marketing,
right?
Like a lot of the PlayStation stuff back in the day was sexist as hell. A lot of it was racist as hell too. Right, and it was just done. It was fine.
Yeah, just I mean, it was what it was, and it's just okay. One thing I do take issue with the younger generation. I don't know if you feel the same way. Like when they do look at stuff from like when we came up, and they're like you said, like they're very quick to call out when something's wrong, problematic. I love that. There's nothing wrong with that. But one thing I see a lot of them try to do is do history revision or try to like shame it. I'm like, look, it happened. It was fucked up, but we got to learn from that to not repeat that.
Look, as someone who's a hip hop head, right? I watched a couple of years ago, Gen Z is trying to cancel Eminem.
Oh God, really? They're trying to do that?
Trying to cancel Eminem. And it's like, look, if he was saying that shit now, go for it.
Yeah.
Do it. Like he knows better now.
Yeah.
But M is the first person to admit, yeah, I was throwing around homophobic slurs and all that sort of thing. And if I could go back and do it again, I wouldn't. Snoop's the same. Has said that he wouldn't be as sexist as he used to be, but it is what it is.
Yeah. That was a time that we're in, and it's just I
think if somebody has, like, I'll call myself out on this, right? Back in the day, I had a lot of opinions that were incorrect and wrong about things like homophobia and homosexuality, and transgender people, and in some cases, different races and stuff. And that was it was a product of where I lived. It was a product of my upbringing. It was a product of the era and times as well, right? If we had Facebook back then, I'd be cancelled now.
Yeah.
Right? Absolutely would be. Thing is, with time, we learn. Right?
Yes.
The problem is the people of our generation that have held on to that. So if they're absolutely call out the people of our generation that are still like that, do it.
Yeah.
They should have learned like the rest of us have. But I think if you're going to call someone out for something that they used to be like, or something that they have said in the past and have since learnt from, especially if they've already apologized and acknowledged it, like, let it be. Like, it's gone. It's past. They've moved on. They're better people.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you. Like I look at some of the stuff, like hindsight from the 90s and early 2000s and even the 2010s, because it was a different time. It was a different time. We weren't as informed as we are now, and
Absolutely.
I think the younger generation needs to give us grace and the opportunity to be like, hey, That wasn't
don't
right. That was fucked up.
Yeah,
that we
I don't know
said
if
that.
it's the same in Hawaii. I'm going to make a bold assumption here that in the villages in Hawaii, it would be similar to small town New Zealand. So I grew up very rural New Zealand. And essentially the population was a 50-50 split between Māori, the indigenous people of New Zealand, and white people. And there was always a bit of racism between the two. But where there was just bold-faced racism would be Asians, Indians, Middle Eastern people that came into town, because growing up we had the one Indian family, we had the one Asian family, all that sort of thing. And I can only imagine the racism that they put up with, right?
Yeah.
But because we were surrounded by the people we were surrounded by, and they were the only ones, it was accepted that it was fine for us to be racist. Nobody ever called us out on that shit. But also growing up in that sort of environment, it's uber masculine men and all that sort of thing. And, if you were openly gay, you are mocked for it.
Yes.
Trans people weren't even a thing that we knew about. We only heard about, all that sort of thing. So, I don't know where I was going with that, but I think I was just sort of contextualizing there. And I assume it would have been the same over in Hawaii as well, in the smaller villages and stuff.
No, it was. It's similar there. And same thing with Samoa. Like, it was basically, so one of the things, like,
Samoa's got a separate issue with being church colonized.
Yeah, it's either Catholic or Mormon.
Yeah, so they've got also those issues as well.
Yeah, my family's kind of split down the middle on that. And when people ask me, like, "Are you religious?" I'm like, "No."
I'm a person that doesn't have any issue with people having faith. I don't think faith is the problem. I think religion's the problem.
It is.
And that's as far as I'm going to go on that. But that's my opinion on it.
If we say anything more, we're gonna get canceled. No, but Hawaii. I was actually talking to someone recently about that too, like with how the problems that we have here in Hawaii, because a lot of people assume that Hawaii is primarily like the dominant group here is white, and it's actually the dominant group in Hawaii is Japanese. Like, it's really that, and like within that there is you have Japanese and Chinese, Korean. Then you get people from the Philippines, Samoans, and then you trickle down, and then at the very bottom is Hawaiians. And it's like, people are so quick to say out here, like, oh, well, this is like this because of, the whites that are in the government here in Hawaii. I'm like, what whites? They're not in the governments here.
I have no doubt that is an element of the issue.
It is. Yeah.
That is an element of the issue, but it's going to be a multifaceted issue, especially in an island nation as small as you guys are, that have so many non-indigenous people being in power.
Yeah.
All right. It's the same as in New Zealand, where the indigenous, and here in Australia as well. Here in Australia, it's the same, where the indigenous people do not have any power. Literally, this country, Australia, voted against them having a voice in Parliament about 3 weeks ago.
Serious.
Absolutely serious. The world needs to know how that went down too, because it was disappointing and disgusting, where they literally had an election, which was a referendum, it said, should Indigenous people have a voice to Parliament? Yes, no. That was the only two options, yes or no. And the majority of this country chose no. Because the majority of this country is not Indigenous.
And see, that speaks to a bigger issue that, people don't want to talk about with a lot of, these countries and that are pretty much archipelagos, islands. This is happening. The people from there are getting
screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's the same thing's been happening in New Zealand since New Zealand was colonized, it's been a problem in New Zealand as well. There's a lot more being done in New Zealand that is helping give Māori more power. Look, as someone who's not Māori, I won't speak on it as someone who's like completely invested in it, but as someone that's from that country, more is being done there than is being done here in Australia. But more needs to be done, right? More absolutely needs to be done. Yeah. I'll tell you what, though, I was stunned when I flew into Hawaii because I saw the signposts in the airport, and I think first language on there was Native Hawaiian, right? And I was like, oh, that's cool. First and foremost, it should be at the top. Then it was English, then Korean. And I was like, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's
It says a lot about your cultural makeup when the order of languages on a sign.
It's getting to a point where I don't even know how deep into this I can go without possibly getting canceled. But like, as a Native Hawaiian, like being able to see how much of the culture is either getting erased or history revised to like change what we actually look like and what we speak like, to areas that are just being torn down to put up condos, and the people who own the condos don't even live in Hawaii. They live in Japan, China, and Korea.
Yeah.
And you
same thing happens
see,
in New Zealand.
and it's crazy. Like you're seeing people who, Hawaiians and locals and whatnot being in many ways forced out. And then they're being replaced by people from like, it's, yeah. That's it. I'm gonna hold my tongue, people, because
yeah. we ain't trying to self-cancel here tonight.
No. Like I saw a lot of that with like the fires and like
Look, that was a tough time for all your people. And I think a lot of people, this is as someone speaking from the outside looking in, there's a lot of people speaking passionately because of their reality that they were facing. And I think sometimes when you are speaking passionately because of the reality you're facing, things can get a bit heated and you say things that might come back and bite you on the ass as well later on. But look, it was a fucked up situation that was going on over there.
It really was, and still is, and it's unfortunate. One of the things I was because I'm still technically doing fundraising for Maui, and a lot of people are like, they're like, oh, isn't that over yet? And I'm like, no. I said it's out of the news cycle. People don't care about that.
Yeah,
but it's not done. I'm like, there's still like camps over there where people who don't have anything, they have to stay there. They're people that have lost everything.
They still need homes. They still need food. They still need to be looked after.
Yeah. And it's just because what's going on in another part of the world. I'll leave it at that. People just can't, like, they stop caring. News cycles, for those of you who are going to watch or listen to this, news cycles literally used to be several months to several weeks to now it's literally at tops maybe a week and a half, and it just moves on. And it is,
and moving on to the next thing that's sexy to talk about.
And it's crazy seeing how it just immedially goes out of the public eye. And then people just forget about it.
I had a super interesting discussion with last year one of my clients was the United Nations. And it was for UNICEF. And it was one of the discussions we had with them was one of their challenges is they've got so many different causes that they've got to look after globally. But it's exactly the same issue as they were fundraising for one thing and then everything kicked off with Ukraine. And they were like, well, that's where everyone's focus is now. So how do we look after the people of Ukraine that need help, the kids that need to be rehomed and all that sort of thing? as well as looking after these other people at the same time, raising funds and money to help these other people because their conflict hasn't ended.
Mm-hmm.
It's just people aren't talking about it. So people are wanting to push all their money into Ukraine. It would have been exactly the same with you guys. The same with Tonga a few years ago when they were having the tsunami and the hurricanes and all that sort of thing. Same thing here in Australia when we had the wildfires, which literally burned for, I think it was 6 months. Half of our country was on fire. But globally, most people only really focused on it for about a month. Yeah. People move on. It sucks. It's exactly what you said, though. It's the short-term sort of attention span of the media.
Yeah. And it's only going to get worse.
Hmm.
It's literally only going to get worse. And I know people like to blame platforms like TikTok and whatnot. I'm like, but this has been a gradual thing that's been going on for decades.
TikTok and I think social media caters to how people are.
Yeah, I agree.
So TikTok being a short form video platform was just catering to the short attention spans that people already had.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I'm going to say it. I fucking love TikTok. I'm one of those old dudes that sits on there and looks at these funny cat videos, and yeah, I love it.
So I guess bringing everything back to content creating before we get canceled. Like, hey,
we'll see how much of this gets cut.
I know, right? Nah, I haven't put everything up, but no. So one of the things when it comes to these different platforms, I know there's a lot of creators that I know who primarily stick with YouTube or stick with Twitch, and their whole thing is like they look at TikTok, they're like, I don't get it. They look at Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts, they're like, I don't understand that. Do I need to be on all these platforms? I personally think you should excel in two and at least have a presence, however big or small, on the other ones that are important. You know?
Absolutely. So this is the recommendation I give to a lot of people as well. Essentially, it's you choose your platform that is your number one, whether that be YouTube, Twitch, Facebook. If your country is Facebook gaming, which there are countries that are predominantly Facebook gaming, surprisingly.
Is that still a thing?
It is still a thing. It's barely a thing, but it's still a thing because there are some countries that predominantly still have Facebook gaming. But let's stick to the main ones: YouTube, Twitch being the two main gaming ones. Choose one of those. Put 50% of your effort into that. Then your next one should be a short form platform. Now, the beauty about the short form platforms is most of them you can use the same content across all of them. And that whether that be Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube Shorts, you can put that same content out on most of them. But what you'll start finding is you will start figuring out what works on different ones, and if you'll start also going, okay, this one probably not worth me putting on TikTok. It's not going to work there, but it will absolutely get engagement on my YouTube Shorts. I'll put it there. So you'll start figuring that out. The big key though is engagement. So what people want to see, especially from my point of view, like agencies and brands want to see engagement on your content. So that's not just views, it's also likes, it's comments, it's stuff like that. The best way for you to improve your engagement is to take time to respond to engagement. So when you get comments, respond to those comments, whether that be an Instagram post, a static post, or a reel, or a TikTok, or whatever. Like, take that time to respond to people that are commenting, because those commenters will feel like they're engaged one-on-one with you as well, and they will keep coming back. But also the algorithm sees it too, right? The algorithm sees that people are loving communicating with you and engaging with you, so they start pushing your content more, because more chat. Doesn't matter who it's coming from, whether it's coming from outside or if it's coming from you. The algorithm sees that and goes, let's push that to more people. People love this. But absolutely, you need, this day and age, you need a short form platform. And look, anything that you don't have time to engage on or create content for, you should bare minimum own your handle so no one else can use it.
Yes.
And so I do this like every time a platform comes out. And if I even see people talking about that platform, get on there, grab my handle. I may never log into that again, but at least I own my brand. But if it's something like Twitter or a Threads, right? Twitter or Threads, you don't need to use that every day. Not once upon a time, I used to tell people you should be tweeting every day. You should absolutely be tweeting every day. You don't need to anymore. It's all that engagement's happening elsewhere now.
Yeah.
I still personally tweet absolutely every day, and I respond to comments and all that sort of thing. But that's me being an old man that loves Twitter. That's still holding out that one day someone else is going to buy it and bring it back to what it once was. But yeah, absolutely, that's what you should be doing. Engagement is key, and you're the one who should be driving that engagement, encouraging comments, encouraging people to have conversations in your comment section. Yeah, and create content that actually does sort of drive those comments as well.
Yeah. If you can create evergreen content, that's going to go a long way. And because I get a lot of shit from people because they're like, oh, you have 31,000 subscribers, but like a lot of your newer videos, they either hit or miss. So how are you having 500, 600, 700,000, monthly views? Like, because I have evergreen content. I have tutorials. Yep. I have, anime reviews, manga reviews that will still, stand tech,
It's the ones that those people might not ever subscribe to you.
Yeah.
But it's going to come up in the YouTube search.
Yeah.
Literally last night, my wife has a turtle. Her turtle was sick. We looked up random thing. How do we fix this problem with the turtle? What could this problem be?
Mm-hmm.
Found 15 different videos that I would never have watched before. I'm not going to subscribe to any of those guys. But what they had on there was super interesting evergreen content.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'll tell you another one. You're someone that does reviews from time to time, right?
I'm thinking about getting out of it because it's so time consuming.
It is
especially with this toddler over here.
But here's my issue with review content people is a lot of people will put out that first impressions review. Like they'll put out, I've just got this, let's unbox it, have a look at it. This is what I think. Then they'll put out their review 2 weeks later. I've spent some time with it. This is what I think. This is what's great about it. Blah, 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 blah. What not enough reviewers are doing is releasing a 3 months later video.
Yes.
Because anybody that has ever bought a tech device will tell you it takes a good 3 months before you find the things that you don't like about a product, right?
Mm-hmm.
My phone, I've got the Motorola Razr. My first month, if you'd asked me what I think of it, I would have told you it's almost a perfect phone. Now I can tell you. Let's wait for this to come back. There you go.
Okay.
Now I can tell you all the little quirks about it. It still is a great phone, but I can tell you all the little quirks that might piss you off.
Yeah, I think I've seen I've noticed when I've done 3 months later, 6 months later videos or 1 year later, they do super good. And I know there's a YouTube channel where a guy does 6 months later, or after the hype. And I know he was saying they do well, but he feels like because the whole branding for him is 6 months later, he's behind. I'm thinking you should do first impressions and still do that.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Like the people like Marquez. I love Marquez. I think what Marquez does is brilliant. He's one of the best tech YouTubers on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Same as Mr. Who's the Boss. I love him as well. But all of their content is, apart from the clickbaity, I bought this off Temu stuff, all of their content is first impressions.
Yeah.
And those are the guys that I would love to hear the 3 months later stuff from, because these guys know tech better than anyone on the planet. They see every single cell phone in the world. What's it like 3 months after? Actually road using it. I think it would be hard for someone like a Marquez that gets sent to every single cell phone that ever comes out. He's not going to daily drive, but yeah, You get what I mean?
No, I fully get it. And it's a area that people still aren't really diving into. Like, even with people who do game reviews, do a 6 month later or 1 year later or 3 months later,
Oh,
because
I'll give you a good example, dude, of back when I used to do reviews, because I'm talking 10 years ago. I used to be in gaming journalism and tech journalism. And a good example of knowing the value of something and also looking at it from outside of your perspective as well. Because I think us in the gaming industry, especially people that get sent codes for free every single month, don't pay for games, you lose sight on the value of a game as well, that the general public is paying for a game.
Yeah.
So there was this one game that came out, you might remember it, on the PS4. It was one of the early releases, was the Order 1886.
yes,
Gorgeous
yes,
game.
I do.
Right?
Yes.
Absolutely gorgeous game. We got sent a free copy of it. We went to the launch event for it. It was really cool. We did our review, and our review essentially was, this game is so beautiful. It's an amazing game. The gameplay style was really good. It was engaging. Had a hell of a time playing it. Loved it. Highly recommend. I think we even gave it something like a 9 out of 10 because we loved it so much.
Mhm.
The comments roasted us, because the comments were from people that were paying $80 to pay it, to buy it, and we're finishing the game in 3 hours.
Yeah.
Right? It's a linear game. You can't go off track. You have to stick to the storyline of the game. And at the end of it, it's only 3 hours, and you're like, I spent $80 and I finished the game in the same day I bought it. It's like, okay, that there is, right, something that we did not take into account, because we were sitting on top of our throne and gaming media going, this game's beautiful. We were looking at it from that point of view. So it's things like that a lot of people in the gaming media need to sort of keep them back of their mind, that it's a bit of a privileged situation to be living in, and those people who are out there that are in the general buying public look at things a bit differently.
Yeah.
And I don't think it
Yeah.
takes long to lose sight of what it's like to be a general public purchaser as well, because you get wrapped up in the world of having free shit sent to you.
Yeah. No, I fully, I was having a conversation with my wife Leila about that recently, because like I told her, like, I can't imagine having to step back into the role of like buying games, especially this year.
Hmm.
Oh my God, bro. Every fucking week.
So I have to buy, like, and this shows how privileged I've been for the last 15 years working in this industry. I've got to pay for Mortal Kombat 1. I'm pissed.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I don't have a contact at WB Games anymore. My guy at
Bro,
WB Games isn't there anymore.
Bro, you
And
should have just let me know. I could have connected you.
let's talk after this.
Okay.
My son wants a copy of it for his birthday, and I'm like, yep, I'll buy it for you, son. How much is it? $89. Okay, I'll buy it for you, son. But yeah, I'm just not used to having to buy games anymore.
Yeah, it's so easy to get like to that point where it's like, holy shit. Like I look at it like the price of these games, the frequency of how they're coming out, how long they are. Most people only have time to per year probably devote to a game fully at least 3 or 4 games. And we're talking crazy amounts of drop this year.
And this is why I'm I'm a retro gamer that loves owning my video games, but I'm one of the outliers in my group of friends that's like, I think subscription model gaming is awesome.
Yes.
Like, Game Pass has made the Xbox the best value console on the market. Hands down. And now that they've got
Yes.
Activision, hands down.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to pay, what is it now, $30 a month or something, and get
Roughly,
access
yeah.
to all those games. Like, that's amazing.
But what's the thing they're saying? Xbox has no games.
Bullshit. Bullshit. Look at that menu. Look at that menu in Game Pass. It's amazing.
Yeah,
It's got everything from retro right through to brand new. Day one on Xbox.
You can't beat that.
No.
You
And
can't.
PlayStation are trying, bless them. But they're not there yet. They don't have the library yet. They've got some amazing first-party titles, but their subscription model just isn't there yet.
And then didn't they just recently raised the prices of everything, right?
Yeah, they've rejigged it. They've changed raised the prices and changed the way it works. They're trying to align themselves to be closer to what Game Pass is doing, but they just don't have the library available for it yet. And the other one is streaming games still sucks, which
It does. Yeah.
I had made the attempt of, because I don't have an Xbox Series X or a Series S yet. I got the PS5 and I've held off getting a Series S or a Series X. And when Starfield came out, I was like, okay, I'm a console gamer predominantly. I like to chill on my couch and play. I'll just stream it on the Xbox One. Right? It'll be dope. Nope. It was a terrible experience.
Oh no, it's maybe console like the streaming thing, cloud streaming will get better. I definitely think in the next 5 or so years, especially with Wi-Fi being.
The thing is, I think internet infrastructure in a lot of countries leaves a lot to be desired. Like Australia is one of the biggest countries in the world, but we also have one of the shittiest internet infrastructures in the world. New Zealand has better internet.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
I left New Zealand 8 years ago. The house I lived in was in a small rural town, and I had gigabit up and gigabit down. Parallel gigabit, right? I only just have got fiber to the house here in Australia. We had fiber to what we call fiber to the node, which is essentially fiber to the box on the end of your street. All the rest, right to your house, is copper.
Wow.
Yeah, so and even still, I don't have gigabit internet here, and I'm in Sydney, the biggest city in the country.
Are you serious?
And we don't have good internet.
What?
Yeah. Our internet's still not as good as what we had in New Zealand 8 years ago. A small island nation.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh my god, man. And we barely have fiber out here. We barely have 1 gig internet here in Hawaii. We only got that like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
The fastest we could get for the longest was like 50.
When I called up to see if I could get gigabit internet here at our house in Sydney, I was told I was going to have to pay some ridiculous amount of money out of pocket to do it myself. And I was like, bro, in New Zealand, if I wanted gigabit, the government-owned telecom company came and put the line in at cost to the government. The government paid for it.
And wow.
Yeah.
My bro.
If it wasn't so cold in New Zealand, I should have just moved back.
Oh, okay. So I got a question for you. This is something that
Let's lighten the mood.
well, this might be a little spicy.
Okay.
This might be a little spicy.
then.
But this is something that's legitimately been annoying to the point of pissing me off lately. So I work with a lot of companies, right? I do a lot of collaborations and coverage of stuff.
Yeah, you've worked your ass off to get those.
And I can barely get because the companies are like, oh, you got to tag us, you got to use this hashtag so we can track it, put ad, all this other stuff. Half these companies, well, not even half, 99% of these companies will not acknowledge anything I do at all. Yep. And I'm like, what is going on? Like I did this guy, let me say that correctly before I get roasted again. This Gaia is fucking A. I mispronounced it once. And people were just down my goddamn throat. Like, oh, It's Disgaea, not Disgaea. But phonetically, it looks like Disgaea. Anyways. So I NIS America reshared my short, but I've been collaborating with them for Disgaea 7 for like the last 8 months. So
Mhm.
they shared it. It blew up on Twitter. The video did well on YouTube, super well on YouTube. The shorts did super good. Still getting traction. I do stuff for Sony as a PlayStation partner. They don't ever acknowledge at all.
Yeah. And this is a frustration that I have as someone that works with a lot of these companies. And all of our strategies that they pay us to put these strategies together, right? And in these strategies, we'll say, these are the people we're going to work with. This is the content we're going to create with them. This is what we expect the content creator to do. And they're all like, yes, right? When it's on you guys. But then in the same strategy, we will also have, here's the expectations of you as a company, is you should comment on the content that goes out. You should share it. And if you're feeling really, if you're really wanting to get involved, you should share it with comment, right? Don't just retweet it with a comment of your own, so that you are showing that you are also supporting this content creator and what they're doing for you. It mutually looks good for everybody, because it looks like you as the content creator has supported that brand, which most of the time you have. They're the ones who have engaged you to do it. And they've engaged you because they like what you do. What on the flip side is they look good for doing that, right? They look good for supporting content creators that support them. It's a frustration that I do have as well. Like, I share that frustration. When we did the strategy for South by Southwest in the last week, we did it a month ago, but it happened last week. All of the content that was going out from content creators promoting the event, South by was super engaged on. They were commenting on people's posts, they were retweeting, they were sharing on Instagram on their stories, all that sort of thing. The perfect client, and I wish everybody did that, because it helps everybody. It helps both parties. I don't know why you wouldn't do it.
Yeah, it literally makes no sense. It's like, you have the bigger platform. You want to work with these creators. You're giving us the codes. You're giving us the product. Like,
yeah, and
it doesn't
in some cases, they're investing money to pay you to do this too.
exactly.
So why would you not elevate that investment? Like,
Exactly.
yeah,
It doesn't make any sense to me, and it's like, so like, I'll give credit to Razer. I know they've gone through a lot of structural changes within the last several years. Like, I'm doing currently a collaboration with them for their Axon software, for the since they just got this new AI, you type it in, describe what you want for a wallpaper, it'll generate it.
yeah,
And it's pretty fucking cool. I just completed that. I'm getting paid for that. They're
Yep.
gonna reshare, promote it. And I'm just thinking, why can't, like, even if other companies don't want to comment, like, why can't PlayStation or Capcom or any of these companies I'm partnered with
correct.
just reshare it, just retweet it?
It's not a big ask.
It's not.
Nah, it's not even. Look, you're not even asking them to share with comment.
No.
But in saying that, then you also get the other one, which I find problematic, is you'll get companies that have paid you to create content for them, and rather than sharing your content, what they will do is download your content
Yes.
and then share it as original content on theirs. They will probably credit you. Often they will, amazing video from Mekel Kasanova, right? But that takes views away from the content that they paid you to make. Right? So that's the exact opposite there of what you want.
Yep.
These companies need to start listening to the people that are giving them this advice, especially when they're paying people like me to give them this advice.
Bro, it's fucking wild.
If you want original content on your platform, pay the content creator to make you original content to put on your platform. Like,
bro,
Like, that's a completely different contract. Like, that's what you should be asking them to do. If that's what you want, ask them to do that. Don't ask them to do it on their channel.
No. And adding on to that, stop trying to lowball creators. Like,
And this is a tough one for people in my position. This is a really interesting subject, because people like myself and other agencies in the same position as me, we get a lot of the slack from content creators because they assume that we're the ones lowballing. Often we're the ones given the shitty budgets in the first place
yeah.
with the high expectations. So I've got a campaign running at the moment. I'm not going to say who or what it is, but essentially the campaign I was given gave the expectation was they wanted 2 shorts on both Instagram and TikTok, a long form on YouTube, and a static post on platforms as well. And the budget they gave me was essentially $500 per person. Right? Not a lot of money. So I had to push back and say, hey, can we stretch that a bit? I managed to stretch it to $750 for a couple of the content creators. But for some of them, I was just like, look, I can't go to the bigger content creators that you want me to go to with this offer. They're going to turn it down. They're going to laugh. It's ridiculous. How about we use this as an opportunity to work with some up and coming smaller content creators that could use the break? We'll pay them, but let's work with me on this so that I'm not looking like an ass with the small budget to the big content creator. Instead, we're all looking like the people that are giving a break to an up and coming content creator so they can earn a bit of money, but also get a good break because they're working with a big brand. Because I think someone who's an up and coming content creator, they're the ones that there is value in doing cheap and or free work. Because there's that value of being, hey, I'm working with this big brand. The big brand shares them. It's good for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But that same brand, they won't retweet shit.
Nope. I currently have
I shouldn't be roasting a current client, but yeah, it's a rough situation because we're the ones that have to face the content creator with that offer.
I currently have a gaming chair company. A prominent one that is. I'm doing a campaign for them. This is probably the lowest amount I've ever been paid. $200 for 2 shorts, a 10-minute dedicated video, static post, and they want me to constantly tweet about the video for 15 days.
15 days.
For $200.
Do you get to keep the chair?
They initially wanted me to spend $50 on shipping because I live in Hawaii to get the chair.
So the reason I had a very similar client, it was a chair company, and they, I'll give them credit here, they did pay the content creator as well. But they wanted all the chairs back. And one of the content creators lived in rural Australia and wanted them to pay for the shipping.
They did, right?
Oh, so I went back and I was just like, no, you are not charging these guys for the shipping. They would not bend on letting them keep the chair. What they did say was they put a thing in there and basically said if they can convert 5 sales, they can keep the chair. So they put a goal in there and said, if 5 people use your code, you can keep the chair.
But see, even with that, using the codes, I understand like companies want that for tracking, but it's getting to a point now you got platforms like YouTube that are cracking down on links and codes and stuff because they want you to now use it through their system.
Through their platform, correct.
Yeah. So
and I think TikTok's eventually going to do the same thing. They've got their own platform for advertising. We can still get away with working outside of their platform, and we do, because financially it's usually better for the content creator to work with us rather than working directly with TikTok. But I think there's going to come a time where TikTok are going to crack down and say if you're doing campaigns with content creators, you have to do it through us. Which is going to be tough. It's because they want to slice of the pie. So they're going to take a slice of any money that was going to go to the content creator.
Okay.
Yeah. Here's a
All
question for you as a content creator.
Okay.
I got
Hit
two
me.
questions actually.
Okay.
And this is me trying to get a read on the read of the room as well. What do you think of Twitch dropping exclusivity on co-streaming, on multi-streams?
I get why they're doing that, and I feel like one, it's a good idea because it's like one, they are the go-to for streaming games and
They are
just
king.
streaming in general. They're not going to be dethroned. Even YouTube could, if they actually knew and
If they
stuck
put
with
effort in.
something, but I think it's a good idea. I think it's actually more so done because it's trying to combat all these different services for restreaming stuff, like restream.io and all that. That's what I think it is. Because I think there's so many people that are breaking TOS already. They're like, screw it. I'm not going to be, locked to Twitch. I want to stream and get, because all the stream gurus like Harris Heller and all them are like, you need to be streaming everywhere. You don't need to be platform loyal because the platforms are not loyal to you.
Oh yeah, I would argue that being before this rule was before they changed the rules, being an affiliate wasn't a good deal.
No. Yeah,
Right?
it wasn't.
It wasn't a good deal. You were better off not having a contract with Twitch and multi-streaming. Because you could multi-stream if you weren't an affiliate. So I always had that argument. Oh, now that this one thing, I think it's interesting. I think it's a really weird business move from a business point of view, but I think they've been backed into a corner with it, and they have to do it because the market has dictated that they have to do it and can't stop people from doing it anymore. That one's interesting. The second question I had for you is kind of related. What are your thoughts on Kick?
Did you see that new the thing of I think I saw it on Instagram that where they were showing who they recently signed and they were standing next, like they had Donald Trump in the middle of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like,
that says everything about Kick to me, bro.
It does. I'm like, where the fuck are you going with this? This is the type of folks that you're appealing to.
Exactly. My issues with Kick, I've got a few different thoughts, right? I don't hate on anybody going there and earning money. Get that bag, right? They are paying out more than anybody, whatever. But don't be surprised when brands stop working with you or will not work with you, because Kick has terms of service that allow hateful content. They allow hateful content creators, and they allow a community and foster a community of viewers that are like that as well. Like, they are sending backwards the hard work that good content creators on Twitch and YouTube over the years have worked hard to not have hateful content and not have viewers in their chat that are toxic and hateful and all that sort of thing, and essentially Kick's sending that into reverse and saying, no, you can be that here. And all you have to do is see the things of like what Ice Poseidon has gotten up to recently and all that sort of thing. Like, your platform has allowed this to happen. Don't be surprised that this has happened.
It's for, man. And here's the other thing with Kick. I know a lot of people think that Kick is going to, continue to rival, and I'm doing rival Twitch. I feel like there's a shelf life for Kick, ultimately.
Yep.
And I think it's going to be probably 3 or 4 years out, maybe 5 tops.
Yep. Look, it's a platform that is backed entirely by a gambling platform.
Yeah.
And I can't see them bleeding money like they are forever.
No.
Because sponsors aren't buying ads on that platform. Sponsors aren't sponsoring content creators on that platform. And eventually the money's going to dry up. Eventually shareholders of stake are going to say, how long can we keep investing in this platform for?
Mm-hmm.
I do think, like, I am hopeful that at some stage they can get their shit together and go, you know what, we need to have some terms of service in place to start attracting sponsors, because I think rivalry is really good for business.
Yeah.
It makes business better. Look, once again, taking it back to pro wrestling as pro wrestling fans, you only have to watch WWE now and go back and watch it before AEW was a thing.
God, don't remind me. That was some of the
dark times.
Worst
Right?
shit.
But arguably now WWE has the best wrestling programming on at the moment. And it's because they've got the biggest competitor, most cashed up competitor they have ever had, making counter programming with some of the biggest names in the business up against them. So they had to get better. They had to do a better job. And that's the same with content creation. It's the same with Twitch. Like Twitch, I would argue Twitch did the most they did to make their platform a better platform when they had Mixer breathing down their neck.
Yeah.
When Microsoft had Mixer and they were investing money in Mixer, we saw them add more and more features to Twitch over that period than they have the entire time Twitch has been a thing. And when Mixer disappeared, all that slowed down because they didn't need to invest money. People weren't going to Facebook to watch streaming. Like it was I'm now a YouTube VOD watcher, or I'm a live stream watcher on Twitch. So they stopped developing new programs and stopped making the platform better. And I think if Kick can get their shit together, sort out their terms and conditions, become a safer platform for content creators to be on, then they can become a true competitor, and Twitch will have to. They'll be forced to raise the revenue cut that they're giving content creators, because that's the biggest reason people are going to Kick. It's a bigger revenue share.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
so it's going to force Twitch to do the same thing, but you have to become a realistic competitor first. At the moment, you're a joke because you're only fostering people like Ice Poseidon and their toxic communities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%, man.
I have no shame in talking smack about Kick, by the way. I had this super interesting thing happen in the last couple of months where, because Kick, people may not realize this, Kick is an Australian-owned company.
What?
Australian-owned company. Because it's owned by Stake, which is an Australian-owned company. And my LinkedIn, you know how on LinkedIn you get this person has viewed your account today?
Mm-hmm.
Every single day I had people from Kick looking at my account, looking at my LinkedIn. And I thought, this is weird. Like, people clearly have paid attention to the shit I'm talking about this company on Twitter. But the weirdest thing happened this last weekend. Like I said, we had South by Southwest, but we also had IEM, the Intel Extreme Masters in Sydney. And because we had the Intel Extreme Masters, we had content creators and management from both Twitch and Kick in town. A friend of mine who used to work for one of the biggest esports organizations in the world, he DM'd me and said, "Hey man, sorry I didn't get to catch up with you while I was in town, but I was in a private box with the guys from Kick. They were talking about you." And I was like, so this is me going, I bet you that didn't go too well. Like, I haven't exactly been fucking talking positively about them. So I imagine they were probably talking shit about me. And he was like, nah, like, they were talking really positive about you. I was like, what the fuck?
What?
Like, all this shit I've been talking about them, like basically roasting them online, saying you guys need to get your shit together. And you guys are talking positively about me in a private booth where you could arguably be talking the most shit about me. Yeah, weird situation. I don't know where I stand with that company. Hire me and help me make your company better.
Hey,
I've looked,
no better man for the job than
I
you.
tell you what, dude, if they genuinely wanted to improve themselves, I would go there. That's me putting it out there. But if they had no intention of changing anything, there's no way I'd ever go there. Be a bad look on me.
All right. So one of the things I definitely wanted to ask you, and this is also me asking on a personal level as a creator to someone in the industry. So I get a lot of companies that will send me stuff,
Mhm.
I do prioritize big names, so PlayStation, SteelSeries, all those,
You
ones I'm-
prioritize the ones that are paying the bills, bro.
exactly.
Yep.
So like the ones that send me stuff, primarily Chinese companies, like they'll send me stuff and then they'll want me to do a dedicated video. Like I got these $20 earbuds, right?
Yep.
They saying to me, we want you to do a 10-minute video. I'm like, what the fuck am I talking about with that?
For 10 minutes.
Yeah. Like
Okay.
what am I? Then I got another one that sent me like a mini, it's mini PC, and
Cool.
then they're trying to dictate. They want me to send, and this is several of these companies. They're like, before you publish it, you gotta send it to us. We need to review it.
Mhm.
We want you to see this, this, and this. And I'm like, are you gonna pay me? They're like, no, because we sent you the product. And I'm just like, I don't feel, and I don't want this to come off wrong to anyone who watches or listens, but if you're not paying me, where's my incentive?
So that's exactly, you've hit the nail on the head. I keep forgetting that my computer keeps going to sleep.
Oh,
That's what's happened every time. Okay, so this is the thing. As a content creator, you have every right to be compensated for the content that you are making, especially if you're at that level where other companies are paying you, right? So if PlayStation is paying you, random Chinese headphone company absolutely should be paying you. But as a content creator, sometimes you also need to weigh up value of offer and value of dollar, right? And this also absolutely changes depending on who you are and where you are at in your content creation career as well. So there are some content creators that may get hit up and said, hey, I'm massive big name PC company. We'd love to work with you. We're not going to give you money. However, what we are going to do is send you $7,000 worth of computer equipment to keep. Right? Brand new PC, new monitor, all the bits and bobs, right? That's value.
Yeah.
To me, this is my opinion. I'm like, that is absolutely value. That's going to make your product better. You get a good relationship. Hopefully you can parlay that into, because now that you've got a PC, you don't need a new PC. If they want to work with you later on, that's when they can start investing some money into the relationship. You have to prove yourself to them as well, blah, 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 blah. Good example is recently did South by Southwest, as I said. A lot of the content creators did not get paid to be there. There wasn't budget to pay them, but what we provided them was a $2,000 platinum pass, right? So passes to go to South by Southwest range from $160 for the games wristband, which gets you into a few games events and all that sort of thing. But the platinum pass is a $2,000 pass. It gets you into every single concert that's happening during South by, gets you into every single event, every single talk, every single concert, every single screening of a movie. Basically anything that's happening across the city, South by Southwest, it gets you into it. And we were really straight up, no budget, but you've got this. If you're interested, we'd love to have you along. And we had content creators that took advantage of that because they came and they networked the fuck out of that thing, because you had the entire movie industry, music industry, games industry, and tech industry all in town for this one event, right? Wealth of connections, and the people that came saw massive value in it. So that's what I'm saying is the value proposition, you got to weigh that up. Looking at your situation, I would say anyone who's sending you a $20 set of headphones and are not paying you when you're definitely being paid by bigger organizations that arguably could be paying someone else, I'd be telling these people to go to hell. Personally, I'd be saying, look, I'll do a courtesy 40-second, 80-second TikTok on your product, but that's all I'm giving you. Yeah. You're the one who sits in the position of power here, right? To be able to say, hey, appreciate, and I would say don't be rude about it. You don't have to be an asshole. It could be, hey, appreciate you sent me this thing. That deal's not going to work for me. If you want me to send it back, send me your address. Okay. Yeah, that's what I'd be saying. So you're weighing up value against thing. Give me 2 seconds.
Yeah.
How much longer do you reckon we got, bro?
Like 5-10 minutes. I have one more question for you.
You got one more question, so let's say half an hour. Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Okay. So one of the last questions I have for you, actually, just maybe a half hour. No, I'm kidding. 2 questions I got for you. One is going to be about events. So as you know, like I went to an event in LA, and I'm trying to refrain from saying the company's name because they got really mad when I did a video talking about my experience and how bad it was.
Okay.
And it's to the point where I don't get codes anymore from them.
Okay.
They recently had that event for a certain Rebirth game that I didn't get any invite to.
Yep.
And it's interesting because everyone that went to that event in LA that's in the creator program for that company got flown there. I had to pay my way there.
You had to pay your way there.
I had to pay for my flight, pay for where I was staying, pay for my own food. All these other people got flown there, taken care of, including, and a lot of folks are like, oh, it's because you're a small YouTuber. I'm like, they had a YouTuber that has less than 2,000 subscribers, but he's buddy with the PR team. He got flown there.
Yep.
I am not buddy with the PR folks because I treat it like a business. Like there's people I am friends with, like you. We've done collaborations before, but it's still business at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
It's not. You give me something, I'm gonna just fuck around, or anything like that. If I'm given something, I give it 110%. That's my reputation. But with this company, so I did a video. I talked about my experience going there, how I didn't even get to play the game there. And that was the whole thing of me going there. I got a fucking jacket, whereas everyone else got creator kits, collector's editions, people who don't even play the game. I got nothing.
Yep.
And there are other events. I know there are other events like coming up that they are doing. I'm not invited to, and there's other industry stuff. And I'm just at a point now. I was telling my wife that I don't feel, for me personally, it's worth going because, like, to any of these other events, because I have to pay my way there, and it's just. Would you say it's worth it for creators to go to these events? Like, I know networking, I got to do a lot of networking, so I'm grateful for that. But is it worth going? Because it really seems like the industry has gotten to a point where it's really whose back you scratch.
That's an interesting, really interesting situation.
I got one better for you too. Here's another one I didn't get to go to. So Sonic Frontiers. I don't mind saying this one. That came out last year. They had a whole thing here in Hawaii. Flew people all over the world, invited not one person that's a creator in Hawaii that has worked with him.
Wow. Okay.
Not
That
one.
there, that's surprising. That's an oversight by that company. Massive oversight. I think any company that's doing anything in a country should absolutely be engaging the content creators in that country. Arguably, I would say it needs to be a 50-50 split. Like, you should have predominantly people from that country there, because it's not only is it just the right thing to do, but it's giving those people that are flying in to experience the game and the country people to engage with locally. It's giving them more of a deeper experience when they come over as well. I want to go back to the first one because I think, look, the Sonic Frontiers thing, Sega fucked up.
Yeah.
That's a fuck up. The other one's a bit more of an interesting situation to me, because I think if you've had a bad experience at a event, I would almost always suggest you contact the people that brought you over there and let them know how you felt about the experience first before ever releasing a video. That's my personal opinion on this. Gives them a chance to either, one, explain themselves, two, take it on board and do better, or whatever. If you still insist that you need to release the video, that is a calculated risk that you are taking, that you are taking the risk that people at the other end of that company are going to see that and go, well, this person's difficult to work with. We're never going to work with him again. Right? Does happen. Not everyone does it. I do know of a couple of big companies that have seen things like that and gone, shit, we need to do better. We'll apologize, reach out to the person. And that's, if there's anybody from a company listening to this, I would argue that's the smartest thing to do. If somebody's making a video, they feel passionate about what they're saying, and instead of going on the defense, take it as a learning experience, reach out to them, see if you can do better next time. Chances are, if that company had reached out to you when you released that video in that manner, it would have changed your opinion on that company.
So additional context to that is, I reached out to them first before I did the video.
Cool.
I reached out to several of them. First, the ones that were there at the event that I knew, that I worked with at the event. Those people, they blew me off at the event. Yep. They're like, whatever, we'll find someone else to talk to. Can't do anything for you. I'm like, I had a scheduled time to stream the game. I had a slot to play it. I, to meet all this. Okay, I got blown off. Went above them. Brought the situation. Ignored. Went to some other folks. Eventually, it took like a couple days to a week for me to get a response, and they're like, "Okay, we're sorry. Here's a jacket."
Yeah.
What? I'm like, bro, I spent over $1,000 to go there. That's it. Like, can I, and then like a day before the game came out, oh, here's the code. That's it.
When it comes to the networking side of things, I personally am an advocate for people going to events, because I think it is a great way to get to know people in the industry. However, eventually it comes to a point where if you're going to the same events run by the same people, they're going to have the same people there. So it might not be worth going anymore, because all you're doing is going back to schmooze and hang out with the same people over and over and over and over again. There may be value in that, because you're building that relationship and making it stronger. But going to bigger events, such as back in the day before it was dead, E3 was absolutely worth going to. Your PAX events are worth going to, because you're meeting the entire industry at those events. If you're in the pop culture space, Comic-Cons, absolutely worth going to. All those sort of things, definitely worth investing money into, flying yourself to those events, going to the parties, going to any networking event, handing out your business card, because content creation, especially in places like YouTube, is such a broad spectrum of people there are people that are huge content creators that I have never heard of that still come up every now and then. And here in Australia, and I'm like, shit, I've never met this person. No one's ever told me about this person. I haven't come across them. And it's because this person's just gone off on their own, done their own thing, blowing up and done it without engaging with anybody else.
Mhm.
Right? And you meet these people by going to events. So all that sort of thing, worth doing. But yeah, if you're not being treated well by the people at the same time,
Yeah.
it's also it's a situation where you may be better off not dealing with them, or it could just be a time thing as well. I've worked for a big AAA developer as a agency where we had a very large YouTuber put out video, very negative video about the game that had come out. They were invited to the launch party before he put this video out, all this sort of thing. The game came out, he did his review, and justifiably pulled it to bits because the game came out and had a lot of issues. We were straight up told we're not engaging that person for a while. But about a year and a half later, we were told, yeah, invite him along to another event.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it wasn't a we're not talking to you forever situation. It was a let's let this die down, see what's happening, revisit it, give this person another chance, or just giving distance from the issue that occurred. Because I mean, in this case, it was this person who talked shit about an entire game that was a cornerstone of their release schedule for the year, and I don't think anybody would have got value out of having them attend events for them.
Yeah.
Like the brand wouldn't have, the content creator probably would have looked like a hypocrite at the same time. Yeah, all those sort of things. So there's multiple different things that come out of these sort of situations, right?
Yeah, and I know, like in my situation, I thought it was very interesting where they counter programmed, like they released counter videos to what I did,
Yeah.
and I was like, that's interesting. And there's like some of the journalists and other folks I knew that were there. They're like, that's fucking interesting that they made it seem like it was packed. It was not fucking packed.
Yeah.
They're like, and I've noticed
that's a good PR company. That's a good PR company doing their job, in my opinion. Like I've run events that have had 30 people at because we only had the budget to cater to 30 people.
Mm-hmm.
But the video package we put out looked amazing because you film it in a way that looks amazing.
Yeah.
All right, that's just a good PR company doing their job. They've been hired to make the company look good. That's the thing you always have to remember as well, right? Is that's literally the job of a PR company is public relations. It's in the name. Like they are there to make the company look good to the public.
Yeah.
It's their entire role.
Yeah, I mean, I do hope to work with them again. Like even in the video, I wasn't malicious. I just said that, you know, being one of the first people ever from Hawaii, one of the first Hawaiians ever go there, it was a, you know, like an awful experience to have to deal with, you know, going all the way there and then being treated like crap and not being able to play the game. I'm like, but I still have love for the company. I still have love for the franchise. It's just you should do better. And you know, if someone comes to you with
I think that was an opportunity for the company to learn. And they should have taken that on board. Like, I think if they jumped on a Zoom call with you and talked to you rather than just send you an email and send you a jacket. If they'd actually talked to you and said, hey, we want to do better. What could we have done better? Apologies, genuine apology. There may be a jacket at the end.
Yeah. You know, and it's just like, you know, I see the same people going to, you know, the same creators getting the same opportunities. I'm not trying to shit on anyone who gets an opportunity. Like, get your bag, get your opportunities. But it starts to become very apparent who's friends with who. And it's just like, you know.
It's funny you bring up the friendship thing because in my position, I've started to, I want to word this correctly.
Okay.
I'm friendly with a lot of people. I'm not friends with everyone.
That makes
You know,
sense.
you know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yes.
And that there's a very strategic thing. It's because I can't be seen to be favoring one content creator over another. I can't be seen to be giving people more opportunities than other people. Sometimes some people do get more opportunities than other people, and that's just because they do a better job. They are consistent. They constantly do great work. They're worth having at every event.
Yeah.
But those content creators are not the same people that I will invite around to my house for dinner and drinks. Right? That list is very short.
Mhm.
There's not everybody. Like, I flew all the way to America via Hawaii and back, and there was literally only one person I stopped in and saw. Right?
This guy.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, right? Is we've had a long relationship, me and you, and I would argue that we built a friendship before we ever had a professional thing going.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's just how it works. It's sometimes you do need to distance yourself, and it stops situations happening exactly like what you just explained, where you do get accused of looking after people more because they're your friends. It's like, hey, I'm friendly. Phid is friend. Oh no, Phid is friendly, not friend.
Yeah.
To a lot of people. Yeah.
Okay.
And look, and I've straight up told this to a few content creators as well, where they've gone, "Oh, my mate Phid," and I was just like, "Hey, just want to. I'm not being an asshole here. I'm definitely friendly with you. I like you, but be careful throwing that word around because people will get it twisted, and will look like you're getting looked after better because you're telling people you're my friend."
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's me protecting them as much as it's protecting myself.
Okay. Last question. And I
Go for it.
swear it's the last question. What would you say to content creators that think that to get the opportunities they need to kiss ass and brown nose to PR folks and whatnot? I see a lot of that on the creator
Mhm.
side. Even from established ones, I don't think that is at all necessary, but it's a thing. And there's also with that, they think, oh, I've got to have these massive metrics. If you don't have this many subscribers or followers or whatnot, no company will give you an opportunity. And it just, the mindset in creating the creation feel is all over the place.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yep. Okay. So, on the views and stuff like subscribers and stuff, my personal opinion is engagement is more important than view count. So I think that if you have 20,000 followers and your videos are getting 20,000 plus views, you're just as valuable to me and to the industry and to a brand as someone with 2.5 million views who's getting 150,000 views. Was it 2 million subscribers, but only getting like 150,000 views? Like, that ratio's off.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Like, you can't go just off subscriber count. You need to be looking at engagement rates as well. So there's that. So that mindset does need to change. Like, you just need to be putting out consistent, good quality videos that are getting consistent engagement and views comparable to your follower rate or your subscriber rate. And the more interesting your content is, the more a brand is going to work with you as well. So if you're putting out exactly the same content as everybody else, you're adding no value to the industry, right? But if you're putting out really interesting content, if you can find something unique, I can't tell you what that is, but if you're doing something unique, then you're absolutely going to get looked at by brands because you stand out. You'll notice anytime somebody comes into this industry and does something different, brands throw money at them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's because they want to jump on before everyone else does. So there's that. The brown nosing thing, I find that's an interesting one because what would you consider brown nosing? Because I think if you're someone that's passionate about a brand, and you're talking about that brand because you're passionate about that brand or that franchise or whatever, that is you not so much brown nosing, but it's you being passionate about a brand.
Right.
And I think that's a good thing. So a brand should be engaging people that are passionate about their brand. What I would give people advice with, though, is don't give that out too much for free. A good friend of mine had a very long ongoing campaign that he started doing about being a massive fan of Monster Energy. And he did it so much that there was no way that Monster would ever throw money at him because he was already doing the work for free. He was tweeting about Monster every week. He was doing Instagram things about Monster every week. He was going on about how much he loved Monster. And when Monster reached out to him, they sent him free drinks.
That's it.
Right? Because they didn't have to pay him.
Wow.
He was already making them free content before they ever engaged him. Why would they need to pay him?
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, balance. Making people aware that you're a fan of something, but don't lean too far into it. And it's the same with games as well. If you are streaming, let's say Apex Legends, right? You're streaming that every single night and you're talking about the new season that's coming out and you're excited for the new season and you're going to do a stream when the new season comes out. Why would EA pay you to play the game?
Yeah, they wouldn't.
You're already going to play it. They may go out of their way to invite you to an event or pay for you to go to an event. That's cool. But they're never going to pay you to play the game. It's a bad investment. Like if you're already building people houses for free, is anyone going to pay you to build their house because you're already building it for them for free? If I turned up to your house and said, I'm going to build you a free house, would you say, here's $200,000? No, fuck no, you wouldn't. You'd be like, cool, free house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's that side of it. Brown nosing, though, I think it's a fine balance, right? There's a fine balance between networking, getting to know people, building those connections, and brown nosing. And I don't know where that line is sometimes because I know I need to do that on the business side of things, is build relationships with brands as well. I like to say that, I like to get close to these people so that I build really good connections with people at brands so they will remember me and come to me when they need work done. But in saying that, I also don't want to be messaging them on Twitter every single day or every single week or DMing them or commenting on everything that they post or texting them or whatever. Like, that's just being annoying.
Yeah. There's a lot of that I see, and I get a feeling a lot of industry folks get tired of it. And I guess to add context to the brown nosing thing, because this is something I frequently have dealt with. I don't tolerate it now, but with other creators, where they see that I have a connection to someone in the industry or a connection to something that they want, and they will buddy up to me just to get it, and then you never hear from them again. Like I've had certain cosplayers that had blown up in the last couple of years that want my connection to voice actors and all this other stuff in the anime industry, and I'm like, no, you don't do. And that's the only conversation they've ever had with me. Or in the case of like people in the Steam Deck and gaming, portable PC gaming, that would get close to me to get connections with the industry. And then now I actually have one that's like, oh yeah, I want to have you become a writer for me and I'll pay you in clout.
Can't pay the fucking rent in clout, bro. Can't pay the rent in clout.
Yeah.
Look, that's a very real situation as well. I've got two opinions on this, right?
Okay.
I'm very anti-gatekeeping. So I'm one of these people that think if you have connections and stuff like that you're willing to share it with the people you trust.
Exactly.
Right? Share it with the people you trust. Share it with the people who are close enough to you that aren't going to fucking ruin your reputation with that brand. So I'm very anti-gatekeeping. You might have the ability to help give somebody an opportunity that they need to break through to the next level. And if that person's a friend of yours, I would absolutely hope that you would do that. But at the same time, if someone's only building a relationship with you because you're close to people they want to be close to, that sucks. Yeah, and people need to cut that shit out. I've had people try that shit with me all the time. I've also had people on the other side of it gatekeep access to me, where people have been like, "Oh, if you want to talk to Phid, let me know, and I'll send him a message." Why? Just fucking tell that person to message me. My DMs are open. So yeah, it's a twofold thing, right?
Yeah.
Don't gatekeep, but also don't be that slimy dick who's fucking becoming friendly with someone just to get access to someone else or something else. Like that's not how friendships are built.
No, the amount of people doing that for Spider-Man 2 was fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right. So that being said, anything you want to leave the audience with before we go?
No, I think I've said more than I needed to say.
All right. So where can people find you? And we'll make sure to leave everything in the description down below.
Oh, absolutely. So you can find myself at Phid McAwesome on every single platform. Like I said, I'm really active on Twitter, more active on Instagram than I used to be as well. And for Original Geek, you can find us on everything at Original Geek ANZ, because somebody's already got the global one for that. But look, we do work with brands globally, and we're always looking for new content creators to work with globally as well. So if you drop me a follow, you can even drop me a comment. I would say don't DM me, but drop me a comment on one of my tweets and say, hey, heard you on Kasanova's podcast, and I'll probably follow you. But I'm always keen to check people out, especially if they're doing really cool stuff that I think would work really well with brands.
Cool. Yeah. And with that being said, people, that's the episode of both the collaboration of my two podcasts. I forgot that I was doing that in the middle of us talking, but yes, Kasanova podcast and Decked Up. So it's going to be on both podcasts, on every major podcasting platform available, as well as on YouTube, on youtube.com/Mekel Kasanova. So links to everything for Phid as well as Original Geek is going to be in the description below, as well as the first pinned comment on YouTube and the first thing you're going to see when you go in the description on
I should take the opportunity to plug my podcast as well then.
Do it.
Yeah. So I've also got a pro wrestling podcast. So we've got Down Under the Ring, which is a pro wrestling podcast. We do 2 shows every week. One's a WWE show, the other one is an AEW show. But we also talk about pro wrestling across Australia, New Zealand, and the Pacific as well. And we're always keen to get more guests on. So we have to get you on one day to have a talk about things.
I'm definitely down, bro. Definitely down. I got some wrestlers that I am some family that are in it, as well as some friends. Jeff Cobb is actually out here right now.
Oh, it's Jeff Cobb out there at the moment.
Yeah.
We've had some amazing talent coming through Australia recently, and of course we've got amazing Australian talent on both shows at the moment. So
cool.
Mummy's on top.
Always. Oh man, so yeah, thank you for coming on the show, man. I 30 minutes, sure. That never happens.
It's funny. Before he even clicked go live, I was like, how long do you reckon this is going to go for? He was like, 45 minutes. I knew it wasn't going to be 45 minutes. I think the record is we did one podcast that went for like 3.5 hours. It was our first one.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
But
stay tuned for part 4.
Coming soon. No, man, definitely thank you for taking time out of your day to do this. Always a pleasure having you on the show, brother. I just always gain new perspective and information and insight every time I get to talk to you, and it helps me not only as a creator, but I can actually throw friend at you because you are a friend of mine.
100%.
So, I appreciate everything you've done to help me. It's everything to help Lehua as well, and just supporting us Islanders, because it's the, we need more of that out here.
100%, dude. And look, maybe episode 4 of Phid and Mekel will be on the beach in Hawaii. We need to make that happen.
We do. I got the equipment for it too.
Oh, nice. So, look, the moment I got back from that trip, I said to the wife, I was like, babe, the moment we get the chance, I'm taking you and only you. We're leaving the kids behind. Me and you are going over to Hawaii. We're going to spend like 5 days just enjoying the place because it is everything that I thought it was going to be. Like everything that you hear on the podcast, on the movies and the postcards and all that. I sat on the beach for an hour and a half. I've got ADHD. I normally don't sit still for long. But I sat there and watched the sunset, and it's the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced in my life. I rang my wife, and I was just like, babe, I need to come back here with you because we need to experience this together. So we're coming over. We're staying on your couch.
Okay. Hey, right here in Waikiki. So
100%.
Just let me know. And with that being said, folks, that's the episode. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Stay safe, be blessed, have aloha, and we'll see you around. All for your time for listening to this episode of the Kasanova podcast, number one podcast in Hawaii. If you found this episode to be incredibly enjoyable, informative, or if there's anything you gain from it, or any insight, or anything that's good that you really, really enjoy, make sure whatever platform you're listening to it on, or if you're watching it, leave a comment if that's available on the platform, like it, share it around with someone you think would enjoy it, and give us some feedback, because your feedback is exactly what we need to keep this show going. And if you're wondering what are some ways that you could support the show, we got various ways. We've got Patreon, we have channel memberships over on YouTube, as well as Subscribestar, Coffee, and so much more. Links for everything will be in the description of the podcast, so make sure you go check that out. And with all that being said, I hope you have an aloha rest of your day.
Let them know that I'm next level. I'm a whole new kind of guy. Yeah. Yes, at the top spot in case you forgot. We the ones that got the block hot, bullet got the shot.